Everybody, back with a live. I said after yesterday's bloody 2 hour marathon live that I wasn't going to be doing another one, or that I wasn't going to do one today. Uh, but things have changed. Be no difference to the other three lives that have gone up so far this week in as many days. So today being Friday the 10th of April 2026. One thing I did say though is that depending on what messages or comments and stuff may or may not come through with regards to whether or not I did another live. So anyway, there have been more uh, questions, comments, queries from people, and I thought rather than reading out some of the ball bag ones that came through yesterday, uh, that I might read out this one first, try and dissect that as best I can, or give my take on it as best I can, because I'm not sure how I'll go with that, to be honest, because there's lots of stuff in there that I don't have a lot of knowledge on or first-hand information on, but I'll do my best. And then the other one was I'll probably read out one of the let me just bring it up over here actually, one of the comments that got sent through, excuse me, uh, by a person on the recent post, and then I'll just probably read through my reply because yeah, um, I can't remember exactly. I won't be able to remember exactly everything that I said. So let me read this one first. Uh, so this one here, I would, well, not probably, I would put this very much in a more supportive position in terms of this person's comment. And what they've got in here is, hey Joe, did you know that BRS wasn't allowed to have some of the witnesses he called as part of his defense, but prosecutions, or question mark, but prosecutions were able to bring over local Afghan persons who resided in a known Taliban stronghold, who were funded by news media to travel, stay, and be accommodated, fed, etc., who also called during their testimony BRS and the ADF infidels, demonstrating a clear bias and hatred for the ADF, and their testimonies were seen as valid and impartial and worthy of being used as evidence against BRS. Well, the interwebs are buzzing with the discrepancy in money spent on the Defence Force and SF soldiers in general versus the investment witch hunt which has gone into BRS. The timing and pressure on the Australian leadership government is also interesting and provides a convenient distraction from the incompetence of the Australian PM and his cabinet. Love your post on YouTube and Instagram, by the way. I think you would find many people would tune into your videos if you specifically chose to dive in on what has happened with your mate. Regardless of what happens, I'm standing with BRS all the way. Our government sent our soldiers to fight in a war where the enemy doesn't fight by any Geneva Convention, where they persecute their own people through fear, use them as human shields, hide amongst them when they are being hunted or run out of bullets, yet claim to love death more than life. What is happening and has happened to BRS and our soldiers is disgraceful, and I feel ashamed to say I'm Australian. Thank you, Joe, to you and all your brothers who have served, those who continue to serve, and those who aspire to serve. Lest we forget, they sign off with. Um, Thank you, eh? Thank you for that message, that information. A lot of information in there that I knew nothing about. I have received other snippets and short video clips. There are a bunch of people on Instagram, from what I am seeing and am aware of, that have gone into quite a bit of detail to highlight a number of things with regards to what's happened with RS at the moment. And it's awesome to see. Like, those ones that I've seen anyway have been super positive and supportive of RS. And yeah, for me, it's heartwarming to see and to know that there are people out there that have gone to the extent that they have to grab information off the interwebs or wherever. Um, I think that's used on here. The interwebs are buzzing with the discrepancy in money spent. People have grabbed stuff and put it up to show, yeah, the I don't know about incompetence, but show the, well, like it says here, the discrepancy and stuff. Um, interesting, man. First part in your comment, did you know that BRS wasn't allowed to have some of the witnesses he called as part of his defense? No, I didn't know that. I think I have heard of that recently through a separate message from another person that has sent me some information. I think I read some of their comments that they provided to me yesterday during yesterday's live. So, yeah, several witnesses I think that he had put down, and apparently, I don't know, okay, wasn't there. I don't know. Apparently, those witnesses were not allowed to testify um, in defense of or in support of RS, which it just seems strange to me. This next part that you've got, but prosecutions were able to bring over local Afghan persons who resided in a known Taliban stronghold in Afghanistan, who were funded by news media. We all know what I think about the news media, or those, if anybody's been following me, who called BRS and the ADF infidels. So these witnesses, I'm assuming, during their witness statements, are calling RS and ADF members infidels, saying that he actually mentioned, well, not in here, but I've seen on a video, whereby the person that's delivering the information is saying that these witnesses, and he names who they are, I just can't remember who they are, or their names, stating their hatred of the ADF. Apparently, they're still living in Australia. Again, I could be wrong. I'm just going off what's been shown and what's been told to me. And then got here demonstrating a clear bias and hatred for the ADF, and their testimonies were seen as valid and impartial. Wow. We are taking the testimonies of people that are living in a known Taliban stronghold, like intelligence from multiple sources, not just from the regiment, from the US, from the UK, from Australia, drilling down known stronghold, and we're bringing them over here to testify against RS in this case, funded by media who have probably the same media that paid what, nearly $1 million in hush money to a witness as part of RS's defamation case, which he lost, and then wanted to have that suppressed and covered for the next 50 or 100 years or whatever it was. I can't remember now. I think I did a reaction to that. It's just crazy, man. Like, this is how we're treating. So let me just try and be clear. Being a Victoria Cross winner doesn't exempt you from, living by the laws of the land, regardless of who you are. And it's got nothing to do with whether you're blinking black, brown, or white. So apparently there were some comments going around by people that I would have thought should have known better, that this has just been, or that this is what's happening with RS is only dividing Australia or the nation because he's white. It's like, bro, that is the dumbest comment I've ever heard. Like, just give yourself bloody 50 good uppercuts for that stupid comment. Him being white or anybody's color of their skin with regards to what's happened or what's happening has got nothing to do with it. So anyway, it's disappointing that those sort of comments are out and about from people, yeah, whatever their thoughts or perspectives are. But that's it. We can go online and say whatever the hell we want, and typically don't need to worry about any sort of repercussions, myself included in that, to be fair. Yeah, but that comment's pretty disappointing for those that are thinking that way, that thinking that it's only dividing the nation and that we wouldn't be making a fuss if the person was of darker color skin or darker complexion. That's just ridiculous. Anyway, some very valid points there, brother, in your comment and your message that you've shared with me and what I've just read. so far. So yeah, I didn't know that about the witnesses, although I had heard some stuff. The prosecution's been allowed to bring these two people over. I knew nothing about that until uh, seeing a little video clip recently. I have seen the documentaries where there's media over in Afghan interviewing the locals. I've seen that part. I didn't know that people from those areas or those known strongholds had been flown over, accommodated, fed, etc., hosted in Australia. Um, and I assume they're going to be here for the trial to give testimony. Uh, the discrepancy in money spent on Defence Force and SF soldiers in general, versus the investment in witch hunt that has gone into BRS. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I know it's been a lot of money, right? Everybody knows that. There's been millions of dollars spent on this investigation, which apparently covers several investigations, or from memory, there's 50 odd investigations, 39 of which have been closed, and there's still several others that are ongoing. So anyway, um, still, I don't know where that money's gone or how you justify over $250 million being spent on that type of investigation, especially when the special investigator stood next to the federal commissioner and said, "We can't get into the country. We can't do any of the analysis that they would normally do. We can't check the bodies. We can't do autopsies." Like, all of those things I would assume cost money, right? Can't do any of that. So what the hell has more than $250 million been spent on over the last 10 years? Has been spent on flights for the special investigation team, business class, no doubt, to travel just nationally, to go into the lounges, to stay in the nicest hotels, to be nice and comfortable and do this special investigation, resulting in 2 convictions and 2 arrests over the course of however many years it's been. Oliver Schultz being one that I have seen on the news. I didn't know him personally, and then the second most recent being RS. Uh, yeah, boggles the mind in terms of where $250 million goes when you can't access all of those other things that the special investigator made a point of explaining as to why, and or justifying as to why it's taken so long to get to this point. But anyway, um, the timing and pressure on Australian leadership is also interesting and provides a convenient distraction from the incompetence of the Australian PM and his cabinet. Uh, yeah, again, I don't know, bro. Maybe with the oil pressures and gas prices and cost of living and all that sort of stuff. Maybe. I think I did read and see somewhere. I think somebody might have put it in a comment actually, that they felt that that Albanese, the PM over there in Australia, probably just authorized and said for the federal police to act now. This is a conspiracy theory. Well, that's how I view it. I don't know how true it is, but it did make me laugh and have a chuckle that he just ordered them to go and arrest him now to try to flood the news media with a distraction so that, yeah, so that it's not drilling down into him and whatever it is that he's been doing and or not doing. The word incompetence is used in here. So, yeah, I don't really know what's going on in terms of the Australian politics and stuff over there at the moment. Yeah, I think people are just struggling wherever they are and whatever they're doing. But yeah, I don't know whether that's been a tactical distraction employed by the government. Again, probably triggers a thought in my head that I don't know if there is a hidden agenda for somebody else, if this whole spectacle with RS is serving somebody else's personal agenda. Probably is. I don't know. But anyway, under the guise of seeking justice for um, these people that RS has been accused of murdering. So yeah. Anyway, love your post on it. Thanks for that. I think you'd find many people would tune into your videos if you specifically chose to dive in on what has happened with your mate. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it is what it is. I spoke about that yesterday. I got no plans on doing that or doing any specific reactions to stuff or media releases that come out. Regardless of what happens, I'm staying awesome. Thank you, bro. That's cool to hear. I'll read the next one that's come up. It's not a comment as such, it's more of a question that came to me, and then I took the time to respond to it, but I can't remember everything that's in my head, so I'll probably just read out what I replied back to that person. And that was on the post that I put up. Our government sent our soldiers to fight in a war. Okay, yep. Doesn't fight by Geneva Convention or the rules of war that get bantered around. Yes, one thing on that I'll share from my perspective is that there are, well, at least from a Western civilization perspective, more so than any other civilization, as far as I'm aware, we do fight with rules. And when people, even in these Western civilizations that we're in, say that there are no rules in war, well, the reality for us in those Western civilizations, or, say, for example, I use the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, when we're going, Canada as well, you put in there, when you're going and being deployed to conflict zones, war zones, you are governed by your rules of engagement, by the Geneva Convention, by those parameters, that framework, so that people aren't just running loose and essentially behaving the way that this person has put in their email, using women and children as shields, pretending to blend in and just say that they're one of the local farmers, or just a local villager, because they've run out of bullets. So it is a challenging environment. It is dynamic, and because of that, that's why the training, and the standards and the requirements are so high, particularly in that space where RS is served. Because you are, and I touched on this yesterday, you are responsible for making split-second decisions in, literally the blink of an eye, while bullets are coming back at you, looking to take you out, and or looking to hurt your mates, and or indiscriminately. They don't care if there are other locals in the area. If you happen to be on the other side and there happens to be some locals between you and the enemy, well, what they've seen and what's been reported is that they're going to arc up. And when I say arc up, they're just going to fire those rounds in that direction. And it'll be up to the actual civilians or the non-combatants to get out of the road as best they can. So when you're fighting enemy like that, and you're factoring into consideration in the blink of an eye, your safety, your mate's safety, the local safety, the fact that the enemy's there, and you've got to try to get them and be as accurate as you can with your rounds, it's just scratching the tip of the iceberg in terms of the complexity that those operators were facing during their time over there. And again, hence why the prerequisites to get to a unit like that, let alone serve in it, are so high, and why you're so heavily scrutinized before you're given the handshake and the beret to then go into a squadron where you're still on probation, still got to earn the right to be there each day and carry on with the job. So, yeah, I'm with you. I hear you, bro, with regards to what you've put down here. But yeah, again, as I touched on, that's what we signed up for. I've touched on that in another live, maybe not yesterday's live, but one of the lives I was talking about anyway. Again, that's something that the soldiers, past, present, future, volunteered, put up their hands, signed up for. So it is what it is. You accept that, and you do everything within your power to stay within those parameters as best you can, while trying to look after yourself and those that you're serving and fighting with. What has happened, what is happening and has happened to BRS now soldiers is disgraceful. I feel ashamed to say I'm Australian. That's sad to read that from this person. I don't think there's any need for any Australian, whether you're supportive of RS or not, I don't think there's any reason or need for anybody from Australia to feel ashamed to be Australian. That's just my take. Um, I'm Australian as well. Um, I'm not ashamed to say it. Uh, maybe years ago before I joined the Australian Defence Force and went over there, there's no way in hell you would have caught me saying that because I wasn't. But having been over there, lived, served, and loved it, and having had the privilege to be over there, I'm grateful, privileged, and proud to say that I've got dual citizenship, which is cool, a privilege. And then the thank you. So thanks for that again. I tried to just go through and summarize the bits and pieces that I could see in there. Uh, give my take in regards to the comments that you put in there and try and answer some of those where you've put question marks, but you've provided me with a bunch of information as well, which I didn't know, but also a bunch of information that you've put in here, which I have actually seen little snippets or read comments in relation to. So thank you for that, bro. Much appreciated. The next one that I've got here was from a comment on the post that I put up today. Photo of RS and I, well, not just RS and I, but the lads that came and yeah, responded to. I thought I'll just whack this up there and maybe, hopefully, this will shut some people up. But this person has come with a question. It's got, will you change your stance if he proven guilty, or if he's proven guilty is a court, or so in a court, I think is what he means, in a court of law, question mark. Also, what do you say about 32 other SASR members who testified against BRS in his defamation case? Okay, so there was news to me about 32 other SASR members. I didn't know that. I haven't seen anything that said that there were 32 members of the regiment who testified against RS either. So that brand new news to me. It's probably going to be heaps of brand new news to me as things go on. But anyway, this is what I shared. This was my response, and it's just easier for me to read it. It's in the comments of that post. I didn't I just saw this as a question from somebody that's interested to get my take. Would I still stand by him, essentially, is what I was looking at. And then the 32 other SASR members, holy heck, then I went into a bit of a spiel about that. So my comments, my reply was basically what I've got here. I'll stand by him if he is found guilty. But if you're asking, would I condone the actions that he is accused of if he is found guilty? No, I wouldn't condone those types of actions because I've said many times that's not what we signed up for. That's not what we volunteered to do. And that's not part of the training that you receive in the Defence Force in general, and well, at least in New Zealand and Australia. And it's definitely not part of the training to go into a unit like the regiment. I didn't put that in there. I've just added that on there. So it's not what we signed up for, but I would still stand by him, is what I've put. Read the 32 other SASR members you say testified against him. I assume that's years ago because the defamation case is probably not many, many years ago. The defamation case isn't that long ago. My thoughts are, if their testimonies didn't result in anything then, so when I put this down, I did put years ago because I don't know how many years ago that defamation bloody case was. Might have just been last year. But I was thinking like probably a decade ago that maybe there was what this person is saying. Maybe there was 32 other unit members that testified against RS, which I didn't know about. But anyway, I've put, I assume that's years ago, question mark. My thoughts are, if their testimonies didn't result in anything then, i.e. no charges, no arrest, no conviction, and I put over a decade ago. So that's where my mind went to. Just noticed now that he is talking about the defamation case. What has changed in over a decade that would make their past testimonies count more now? So I think the balance of probabilities, or whatever that legal term is, in that defamation case, it was like Ben Robert-Smith lost that defamation case on the balance of probabilities, or words to that effect. Anyway, I don't know. Those that do know can bloody put it in the comments or whatever. But essentially, it made it sound like that RS was guilty or would have been guilty of having done those things. that the media was touting that he had done, or feeding to the public that RS was guilty of. So, where am I? Yeah, so I put down, why would their testimonies count more now? Like, if they didn't lead to anything, maybe that's what swung that balance of probabilities, if I'm using the right term, in that defamation case. And maybe that's what the defense is going to maybe that's what the prosecution is going to incorporate into their evidence and their charges that they've laid. I don't know. I've got there after, what decade that what has changed in over a decade that would make their past testimonies count more now. Next part I've got is, the truth is, I don't know what evidence the prosecution has, especially after listening to the press release. Did make me wonder, if they haven't got access to all that stuff, what do they have? Maybe it is purely just witness testimony. Maybe it's 32 ex or current serving unit members that are testifying, along with local Afghans from a known Taliban stronghold. I don't know. And I don't know whose agenda this whole spectacle looks to serve. What I hope is that there is a result so that people can get on with their lives either way. So personally, I put in here, I hope RS is found not guilty. That's my hope. Like, I hope he's found not guilty. If he is, even then, that won't satisfy many of the public. But personally, I'll be stoked. Like, I just think, even if he's found not guilty, there's going to be the internet's going to be flooded with more accusations, and him and his family probably still likely won't be able to just go about living their life. If he isn't, and instead is found guilty, although I would never condone actions that he has been accused of, he's not convicted of them, he's been charged and accused of them, he's still my brother. Through shared hardship, commitment, willingness to sacrifice and serve, and I will always stand by him, even though I would be gutted. So, yeah, if he's found guilty, if one or all of those charges, he's found guilty of, it'd be devastating. Like, I say devastating. It's like, just, it's nothing, eh? Like, in terms of what it would be to him, to his family. But I would be gutted. I would be gutted for him. I would be, yeah, I don't mind saying it. I'd be devastated. I hope he's found not guilty. Yeah, that's my take. Then we've got here, but I would still stand by him. So that piece doesn't change for me. Does it give him a free pass? Would I condone the actions if those are things that he did? No, it doesn't give him a free pass, and it doesn't make it right. And past actions for valor doesn't give anybody the right to go and do the things that he's been accused of. So that's my take there. But he's still my bro. He's still my brother, and I would still look to try to support in any way, if there was a way that I could. There's plenty of questions that can, could, should. So this is my little rant that I put in here, but not meant in an aggressive way or anything like that, but just my thoughts. There's plenty of questions that can, could, should, and hopefully will be asked during the trial, i.e. if things were as bad as the media have made them out to be in SASR, in the regiment, and if RS, a lowly corporal, people might think that that's a big deal, being a full track in the army. I suppose it's it's not a big deal in the regiment. It's cool if corporal, you're a 2IC of a patrol, typically. So I put here that the media have made them out to be an SASR, and if RS, a lowly corporal within the regiment, was running wild, doing what he pleased, why hasn't leadership been brought into question? So if you've got a corporal running around thinking that they can, and from what I've heard in the media and some of those reactions that I did earlier, which have been blocked by YouTube, why would any leader allow that to continue to happen? And if a leader did let that happen, well, then they're not much of a leader, in my opinion. So that was the first one. Why hasn't leadership been brought into question? Who in the chain of command did these witnesses report their accounts to? So whether it's Dusty, the medic, whether it's the signals guy, the bear, the electronic warfare dude, can't remember his name, whether it's these other, whether it's troopers, operators, lance corporals, sergeants, whoever, officers, um, whoever those people are, these witnesses, these eyewitnesses that saw these 5 things happen, who did they report their concerns to? So there would have been, there's a hierarchy. So they must have gone to somebody. Who did they go to? Then I've got, there must have been someone in a leadership position within the unit that they told. Surely they were just, or surely, I was supposed to say, surely they weren't just talking, but I've got surely they were just talking to the media. So surely they weren't just talking to the media. Surely they were escalating it through the chain of command, through the hierarchy to get a result. Were those reports followed up by those military leaders? So, or Jono over here reports this over here to Bob, who's the commander, the leader, whether they're the troop sergeant, whether it's the troop commander, whether it's the squadron SSM, squadron sergeant major, whether it's a squadron OC, somebody in there, they would have taken first steps, patrol commander first, initially, with anything, and typically what's there in the unit, you hash it out with the person first. You don't go running to mum and dad or to the adults or to the hierarchy, to the leadership, if you have an issue with somebody. If somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you approach them, you call them out, you speak to them about it. Now, RS, a big towering figure aside, doesn't matter. May matter if an individual is too scared to confront that. So don't get me wrong on that. That's when it may matter. But still, then you should have gone to and should be speaking to the person first. If that person just flicks you off, says, yeah, whatever, mate, F off, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. That's different, completely different. You've tried, you said, hey, bro, I need to speak with you about something on what just happened here or what you're looking to do here. Like, just hit pause. We need to have a chat, whatever it is. In that moment, on a debrief, wherever, whenever, like preferably before something bad happens. If you anticipate something bad is about to happen, you need to have the curry to bloody speak up and do something there and then. Like that's where it needs to happen before. In a perfect world, right? If that happened, cool. And you got flicked off, okay, not cool. But then you escalate, right? I've tried. This guy's been a clown. He's not listening. Patrol commander next. If patrol commander doesn't listen, well, then you escalate again. Patrol sergeant or platoon sergeant, troop sergeant, and so on and so forth. And you carry on up the chain of command until you get a result. Till somebody listens, follows up to what you and or others are saying in and around what's happening. You don't go, oh, spoke to him or I didn't speak to him, but I didn't like it. So I'm just going to have a yap to the media over here because they're here. I'm not saying that that's what the guys did at all. I have no idea what process they did. So these are questions that I've put in my reply to this guy's question and comment in the hopes that some of this stuff comes out. Because who in the chain of command did these witnesses tell? Must have been someone in a leadership position. Surely they weren't just talking to the media. Were those reports followed up by those military leaders? What did they find? So they must have discovered something. Who are and were those leaders that followed up or didn't follow up? So who are they? And if they didn't follow up, why didn't they follow up? Like there's a massive amount of things in there that, at least in my head, I don't have any answers to because we just hear snippets and bits and pieces of what the media puts out or has put out. Will the witnesses front up and name who in the chain of command they reported these things to? So all well and good, right? Everybody's hammering BRS. Even in the reactions that I did, and I spoke about this yesterday, they refer to they think they can just do whatever they like. They think that it's just about body count or whatever. But everything has come right back to RS. And so if we're applying that same logic, oh, he was the corporal, which is not a high rank in the military, maybe equivalent to a woe 2, maybe in the regular defense force. No disrespect to the woe 2s, by the way. but it's not a high rank within the unit. So there's people higher above. RS still takes his orders and instructions from other people. Those other leaders still oversee and manage what's happening, but they empower and trust the operators to do their job. So anyway, will the witnesses front up name those who in the chain of command they reported these things to? If the witnesses were getting no movement with their reported concerns, what did they do next? And who did they report and who did they escalate things to, that chain of command? I spoke about that earlier. That's a standard process within any organization. With that escalation, what did that person do to follow up, etc.? If we're going to be going back more than decades, so some people might go, "Oh, what's the use of that?" Well, if we're going to be going back decades and pulling people from Afghanistan years after the fact to come and testify in trial, then I would say these things are pretty important in my head, because I want to know who knew what at what time and what did they do about it, and or what did they not do about it, and if they didn't do anything about it, why didn't they do anything about it? Not too much to ask, I don't think, from my perspective. Anyway, I put there, the list goes on. Anyway, I hope that helps answer your question. Oh, he's actually replied. So he's got, thanks for the answer. I don't necessarily agree with your stance. Yeah, cool. But you were in the regiment. I'm not, and you're still very kind words. And he's put here, and you're still a top bloke. Very kind. Thanks for that. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't even know that you had replied. So probably because of my ramblings of going through. But as I mentioned at the start, I didn't take offense to your question. I just thought, oh, okay, yep, it's cool. I've been hit with that question a lot, and maybe I haven't answered it adequately enough in the other 3 lives that I've done so far. This one being the 4th live for the week. Aren't you lucky? Get to listen to me ramble for like an extended periods of time, more than usual. Sorry about that. Yeah, so maybe he hasn't seen those, and maybe, like I said, maybe I haven't articulated clearly enough. So I thought I'd put the post up, put it down in words, and that way, like, it's there. People can screenshot it if they want, and maybe years down the track they might want to throw it in my face and go, "But you said you stand by and blah blah blah." I do, and I don't see that changing for me. Um, I will be devastated, gutted if he's found guilty on, as far as I'm aware, with the 5 murder charges, I think is what they are. Even if he's found guilty on one, he's that's a life sentence, as far as I'm aware. So I'll be devastated for him, for his entire family, for his kids, like just everything. So that's why I say I'll be stoked, and I hope he's found not guilty. Um, yeah, that's that piece. That's been those 2 things that I chose to talk about today. One was the kind message that I received, and there's been several kind messages. Don't get me wrong. This was just one that I decided to use here today. Some of the other kind messages have got a few F bombs and a few other things in there where people are expressing their anger and disgust at what has happened, and I appreciate those as well. Some people, as I read out some of those yesterday, not so supportive, not so uh, convinced that RS is innocent until proven guilty. They seem to be leaning more towards that he's guilty before guilty until proven innocent. That seems to be what I was picking up on as I read through some of those. So anyway, oh holy heck! Sorry, peeps, if there are people still on here. I just see that the chat has got a bunch of boxes on here. How the F are enemy combatants impartial? I'd say they're the most partial. Impartial. I'd say they're the most partial, wouldn't you? Question mark. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, bloody hell. What's going on? Where are we? Yeah, buddy. Sean, kia ora, bro. How much does your beret and wing dagger mean to you, Joe? That's why I don't believe any of you would, or even sorry, it's flicking up as I think as new comments come in. So my apologies. I'm reading too slow. That's why I don't believe any of you would or even could do something like that. The damage to the unit, both reputation wise and operational. Yeah, much of it. It's That's a great question. How much does it mean? It, over the years, like it's still like a taonga, like a sacred treasure. In other words, in the in the New Zealand Maori perspective, it's like a sacred treasure to me. Like to have, when I look at it, it's like, yeah, I know I earned that. It wasn't given to me. I know I earned that, and it's nice to be able to reflect on that journey, that part of the journey. So that's what I would say. It's one of those things that I think over the years it's just there, but yeah, I've looked at it more so in times when I've been more so in despair, more times when I've been down, when I've been struggling with different things. Um, not from a PTS perspective, just yeah, just in life in general. Some of that I know I've struggled with it when I felt and when I have felt that disconnection from the unit and from the military in general. I know I've glanced over at my berets, the infantry beret from NZ and my beret from Australia, and yeah, and just thought of it's helped me think of really good times and good people, um, and then that's helped lift me. So yeah, it's been a really cool tool in that perspective. I probably don't um, I don't know if reverence it or reference it is probably the right word. I probably don't refer to it uh, as much as maybe as what I should, or maybe as much as what I used to. But I've definitely utilized it in recent times, more so when things have been really dark and hard. And when I look at that, that's part of why my message is what it is at the end. I know I can go always a little further. I know I can, if I want to, and if we want to, I know we can take another step and just go again, as miserable as it may feel and seem. So yeah, that's part of that. In terms of that's why I don't believe like for me, it's hard to fathom as well. I'll be honest, it's hard to fathom that an operator within the unit would switch and turn like that, knowing the standards and the expectation and the requirements and the path that they've trodden to get to where they are. But I think I tried to touch on this yesterday. Does that mean that it's impossible? No, it's not impossible. Like something like that could potentially happen, I think, to anybody. And you don't have to be an SF soldier. You could just be, a soldier in general, tied up in a heck of a lot of conflict, years of conflict, going back and forth, seeing what they've seen, losing mates along the way, and just yeah. So it potentially could happen. But my bias is towards leaning on my experience, what I've seen, the training that's involved, the the level of professionalism and abiding by and living, striving to live as best you can by the tenets of the regiment, of the unit, to the best of your ability to reinforce that no, you don't do those things. You've been tried, you've been tested, you've been stressed. You have a lot of simulations. You can't simulate real-time warfare with a two-way range of bullets coming back at you and things exploding in and around you, etc. You can have those explosions, by the way, with regards to breaching and that sort of thing, but you know what I mean. RPGs set on airburst coming back or not on airburst, just small arms or heavy weapons coming back towards you. You're not simulating that in training. And so there's a whole bunch of different things, emotions and stuff that will happen and that can and may take over in those moments. Again, nobody really knows how they'll go in a contact. Even when you've been in contact, you don't know how you'll go in the next one or the next one or the next one. But you've built up enough runs on the board, for want of a better term, to have a frame of reference to go, okay, yeah, I think I should be all right. I should be able to lean on that experience, those reference points, my training, and what we've done and how I've responded in those things, and be able to apply what I need to do, depending on the situation that's playing out in front. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I'd love to say it's impossible, but I I can't say that it's impossible. Uh, Operationally, it's far too great job is hard enough without pissing off the locals for some BS. Yeah, and that's very true. That's why hearts and minds is super important when you're deployed on operations. And we've experienced the value of doing your best to genuinely win hearts and minds of those that, you know, are being oppressed as well by what's happening in that environment. Does it guarantee anything? Again, no, it doesn't. Because, like, unfortunately, tragically, what happened with regards to Hikmatullah, I think was the name, who murdered 3 Australian soldiers and was released from prison by the Taliban once they retook Afghanistan, once the coalition pulled out, and praised as a hero for murdering 3 Australian soldiers. And here we are in Australia, hunting down and arresting and putting in prison RS with regards to allegations that are taking place, and who knows how long before the trial takes place. But anyway, where was I going with that? What was the locals? So you can't guarantee that there aren't locals that are equally committed to their cause against what it is that you're looking to try to do. And in this case, that whole global war on terror and what was happening there. Obviously, people that are committed to their cause, and if that's terrorism, they're going to do the best that they can to come across as supportive of the coalition, and then as that guy did, understanding that the Western civilization process will not be to murder him, will not be to sentence him to death, will be to give him a trial and then to put him in prison. And then he just rides out and waits out his time till his mates are back in power, and then go, here you go, bro. Handshake, job well done. Here's some cash. Go bug out somewhere. We'll make sure nobody knows where you are. Go live your life. We'll give you a call if we need you again, whatever. I've just made that up, that portion there, you know, that narrative. But it's maybe not too far off. I mean, if he's not in prison and if he's been released now, or been released a while ago, for murdering 3 coalition soldiers that were there trying to help their country. Yeah, but anyway, hard when you're trying to support people that feel that you're an infidel and that, yeah, and that you're hated, you know. Because of the pilot that was rescued by US Special Forces in Iran, can I assume there are a lot of special forces, maybe from more than one country, in a situation like what's happening in Iran? Can I assume there are probably a lot of special forces, maybe from more than one country, in a situation like what's happening in Iran? I'm not sure what you mean. Because of the pilot that was rescued, can I assume there are probably a lot of special forces? Do you mean a lot of special forces from possibly more than one country in Iran at the moment, or in the area waiting to be deployed? I'm not sure what you mean, bro. Apologies for that. Just my interpretation. On the ground there. Oh, okay. On the ground, that is. Sorry, I was hovering here and there's a bloody little box that's got show on stream underneath in 10 seconds. It was covering the second part. On the ground. Potentially. You've seen some media stuff at the moment whereby is positioned members from the regiment in Australia for the purposes of assisting with any evacuations that might need to take place of foreign nationals or Australian nationals, that sort of thing. So, yeah, there could well be. It could be a good assumption if I'm on the right track in terms of what you're asking. Ask no questions, they'll tell no lies. By the time we find out, they've BTD'd and are back in the mess. Bloody hell. Yeah. As I said last night, modern soldiers should wear GoPros so all their missions are filmed. Conduct yourself right, and the film will protect you against any allegations. Yeah, you'd like to think so, eh? I like that comment, Stephen. My only, and I haven't experienced that. My only thought or comment on that is purely based on what Jay Cal has mentioned when he was on the Sean Ryan show, and he articulates very clearly. I forget which part of the interview, whereby they've got footage that shows what him and his team did, and they've got the ISR and they've got footage, and still Jay Cal and his team have been hunted and charged, and he was being charged with murder and being a war criminal, and he's received that letter that he shows on the Sean Ryan show but it's still like it's what I spoke about yesterday. It's not done and dusted. It's subject to, like, if new evidence presents itself, then they'll come knocking on his door again. And like they did with a number of his mates, drag them out of their homes and arrest them in a fairly, not a very respectful type manner. Not that I'm saying that arrest should be done respectfully, but I think given the context of the individuals that you're looking to arrest, I mean, if you look at RS's arrest as an example, yeah, that's cool that they didn't roughhouse him or cuff him behind his back and they'd be holding him and then shoving him down the stairs or escorting him forcefully down the stairs, etc. But even that could have all still been handled a lot better. Give the guy a call and say, "Hey, mate, we need you come into the police station to save, um, you know, public scrutiny, media, whatever, and to try to maintain a bit more dignity, respect, class, whatever you want to call it. Mate, we need you to come in because otherwise we will have to come and execute the arrest warrant." I guarantee you, RS would have shown up to the prison, to the police station. He would have gone. So, yeah, although, sorry, I've gone off topic a little bit there, but although your comment, I think, is a valid one, I think it's cool. And that would be a good tool to have. Based on what I've heard from what Jay Cowell has said, hasn't proven to be the case there. Even when he said, like, you can see the footage, you can see what's happening and how we're being pinned down and our actions in that fight to do what we needed to do to get through, to take out that enemy or those enemy, to then move on. So it's yeah, I don't know. And then with bloody AI these days, who knows what people will do with the footage? Bloody hell, man. So again, as much as I like your comment, Steve, with regards to what's the name, the camera. I don't know. Again, I haven't had that experience, but if there are people out there that want to push a narrative and that have got certain skills that and can use other things, just like the technology that was used to add extra 6 or 8 gunshot rounds into Heston Russell's footage, bro, there's people out there, unfortunately, that are dedicated and committed to making things appear a certain way, regardless of what footage you have. So Heston's got the raw footage, sent the raw footage, they still edited it, and they still edited it knowing that he's got the raw footage and that he's provided it. So, yeah. And then when you're a big beast and you can pump out a heck of a lot of narrative and story, well, a bit hard. So, anyway, I'd like to think the military would be better. But if Jay Cowell's situation is anything to go by, it doesn't instill a lot of confidence, sadly, and I can understand that for people that might be looking to go in. Where are we? So that was Steve's one. Soldiers should wear GoPro. Yeah, that's my take. I joined the membership. Oh, thank you. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. So I haven't even had a look at that. I haven't been posting anything in the membership space for a while. So apologies to those members. Thanks for joining the membership, bro. Much appreciated. The Western world want to win wars, but say you can't bomb bridges. Yeah, so bloody hell. I reckon, that's crazy. Stephen, why they'll just change the rules again and charge you for something anyway? Let the military run the military. I'm not sure what that must be. Stephen and this person having their own conversation. That's all good. If you follow the rules of engagement you were governed by at the time and it's in film, they can't do anything. Oh, okay. Oh, this must be to sorry, lads. This must be to Steve and to Rubber Kiwi. This must be in relation to the other one that I was yapping on about when I referenced JCal. So again, I haven't had any experience with running the cameras. I know some guys that obviously have been running cameras in their jobs. I would assume that it would be helpful in terms of debriefing, in terms of continuous improvement, so that they can be better, like in terms of looking at things. One of the things that stuck out for me in Jay Cowell's interview with Sean Ryan was that they looked at when they go onto targets, rather than going in and doing CQB, dynamic entry, MOE, whatever, explosive manual, whatever it is that they're going to do to get into breach, to then start conducting clearances, etc. Why don't they just stay back? And I might be getting this not 100% right, so forgive me. It's been a while since I watched that reaction, that video, that interview. But he spoke about, oh, we sat back, we got air superiority, we know the baddies are in there. Let's just through the interpreter, translator, let's just call them and tell them to come out. Otherwise, we're going to blow the building up. And he said, and it worked. Funny that. Hey, you can hear the aircraft buzzing overhead. You can hear the choppers, lights, and stuff. Well, probably IR that they were probably using, because the enemy likely wouldn't have had that. As the saying goes and went, they rule the night. So SF, and during the global war on terror, the nighttime has definitely been ruled by those in the military with the gear. So that was a cool thing. Why did I bring that up? Where was I in the conversation or in the comments? It was where Stephen and Rubber Q, if you follow their engagements, time film can't do anything. Oh yeah. So I don't know about can't do anything to you based on what I spoke about there. And if anybody's done any sort of looking into AI and stuff, which I've done a bit lately, like there is so much out there, and it can be at this stage, it's probably still not too bad to distinguish what's real and what's AI. But bros, it's only going to get even harder to identify exactly what is real and what isn't. Who'd have thunked it? Who'd have thunked would be at this stage with regards to the advancements in AI? So, the video footage, people getting it, even the media, dare I say, people with an agenda that may be within any organization could get the right people with the right technical skills and or AI agent bot, whatever it's called, to tweak and adjust something to paint a different picture. And that's a dangerous space to be in. Why? Sorry, I got to scroll back up. Where are we? No, past that one on the ground. As I said, no, I've gone way past. Join the membership. Why? They're politicians, of course they can, and have before. Yep. Remember, they won't win in court. Okay. Oh, okay. This is still Steve and Rubber having their own conversation. What's reputation worth? Guilty or not? What's a reputation worth? Guilty or not? The question has been raised, and for many people, it will never be answered, regardless of the verdict. Yeah, if we're talking about RS, I think that's a good case. And if we, without having seen the footage from Jay Cowell's incident of what him and his team have been charged with, it's like, bro, if the evidence is there, clearly the prosecution or whoever these people are that are gunning for him and his team, again, don't have sufficient evidence to lay a charge, to arrest him, to then have him go through a trial or whatever. Who knows what's going to happen in a few years, and who knows what may come about with that footage that they've got and the advancements on AI. I don't think, although I think would be a good idea in terms of where we're currently at, having that raw footage, I don't think it's going to be personally, I don't think it's going to be a guarantee of safety for any soldier having the footage given where we're at. That may seem very skeptical and pessimistic of me, and maybe it is, but when people have got agendas and they're in positions of power or positions of authority, supposedly positions of leadership, and if they're scared or if they're worried, they're going to look to protect themselves as best they can. And if that means they need to make something up, my experience has been, and just looking at things in the world just in general, those people that have got what they feel a lot to lose, they're going to look to try to hide stuff, So anyway, and that's not just people in senior positions. That's anybody, right? You can see it in your children. I've seen it in my children. I've done it. If the kids have done something that they shouldn't have done, you go, no, I didn't do that. But when you've got a few runs on the board and your parents and well, actually, it was only you and I home. I left that sitting there. Nobody else has come since then. Now it's gone. You're the only one that's been here. Like, you can sort of put two and two together, whatever some of those situations may be. This case here is obviously not like that with regards to what's happening with RS. So not diverting and going off topic to try to diminish the the sensitivity of what's happening right now with RS and his situation. Where are we? Scroll back down. The average Australian live talked to. The average Australian I've talked to are outraged at the way this has panned out. They see it as political more than anything else. Yeah, I've seen some of those comments too. Thanks for sharing that. Like I said, the verdict is irrelevant. The suggestion is damaging by itself. Yeah, if we're talking about what's, I agree with that comment. If we're talking about what's happening, the perception, in terms of how I view it, how other people view it, the perception of how RS has been made to look, and the unit itself as well, is driven by some deep pockets that have the ability to spread a heck of a lot of information across multiple platforms 24/7. Pretty hard to compete with anything like that. It's not irrelevant when you are facing potentially the rest of your life living in a cage. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, back again, your fellas' comments and stuff would be great, that footage and stuff, and can exonerate, if that's the word. Maybe that's just me just trying to extend my vocabulary and try and use a flash word. I've probably used the word exoneration in the wrong context. But yeah, if it could be, you know what I mean. If something like that could be used to prove your innocence, just stay in my lane, stick with smaller words. Then yeah, that's clearly going to be a good thing, So agree on talking, but I'm talking about the reputation of the SAS units and other SAS members damaged as collateral damage by this. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. What people think of other operators in the unit or myself is really neither here nor there. Those that, and part of why I do what I do, and part of why I'm well and truly past the point of concerning myself as to whether or not people want to subscribe or not, or unsubscribe for whatever reason, is because what I do will land on the ears of those that it's meant to. That's how I look at it. And there's a handful of people, a group of people that get some sort of benefit from interacting with me and me providing what advice I can or guidance I can in regards to helping them on their journey, specific to military stuff. And then some people are maybe just here for the entertainment or whatever. No, I don't know. Entertainment, the waffling, the rambling from me. Who knows? So do the jury decide if he's guilty? Supposedly, it's meant to be a trial by jury, from what I understand. So, and with that, the prosecution, my non-legal brain, or kicking in here. I should just use ChatGPT or Google Gemini, chuck stuff in. But from what I understand, trial by jury, prosecution will need to prove beyond reasonable doubt that any one of those five or all five of those murders that RS has been alleged or accused of committing, that he did those things. And I just personally, when I listened to the press conference and I listened to the guy standing next to the Federal Police Commissioner, I found it really hard to fathom how can you prove beyond reasonable doubt if you've got no body, you've done no autopsy, you've got no rounds or ammunition to thing, you've got no, from what I understand, fingerprints, what I'm getting at, no additional supporting evidence in addition to eyewitness testimony. I wanted to do the inverted commas when I did that there, but reason why I wanted to do that is because the supposed eyewitness testimony from some of those that I've heard, like Dusty as an example, the medic that was attached or part of the support group with regards to the regiment, was deployed out and with the teams. Same with guys from 152 or the Chooks, the SIGs and stuff, communications guys and that as well, whether they're BRA qualified or not, get out on jobs. I didn't hear him or the SIGs guy directly say that they watched and observed Ben Roberts-Smith execute or murder one of the five. And I didn't hear either one of them, and I could be wrong, but I didn't hear either one of them, these two, because I haven't seen any operators, any badged operators of the unit who are apparently witnesses as well. Haven't seen them on camera and haven't heard their words, apart from some background chatter in one of the videos that I was reacting to in regards to RS again, which those two videos have been blocked. So eyewitness, they didn't see it, but so one example that I shared yesterday, when the medic was working on somebody, can't remember the full story, but then he was taken away for questioning, and then the medic didn't see him again, and the medic said, "Oh, what happened to him? Or where is he?" And I think he said, RS said, "Oh, he didn't make it," or one of the operators said, "Oh, he didn't make it." So from that, he's made the presumption that RS and or the team members have murdered that person that he was working on. So again, coming back to the question about, is a trial by jury, that's my understanding it's a jury. How you prove beyond reasonable doubt for one or all five of those, I don't know. And from what I was hearing when that guy was speaking in that press conference, to me it sounds like they will likely be leaning on heavily eyewitness testimony. To me, eyewitness means they actually heard, saw, and felt everything that just happened in that moment that they're describing. Not, I didn't see it, didn't hear it, or I heard something, and then when I asked the question, then that was the answer that I got. Like, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Sort of similar to my rant about Andrew Hasty yesterday, like, and his comments, didn't witness anything, but he had his assumptions, or I can't remember the word. I think it might have been assumptions, but he had his assumptions based on what he had heard. But he never witnessed RS being a bully. He never witnessed RS committing any war crimes. He actually said that he didn't have anything to do with RS since 2010, when Andrew Hasty was a candidate on selection, and he said RS treated him like a scumbag. It's like, well, so maybe he was called as a witness. Like, he's called as a witness, and Afghan soldiers are called as not Afghan soldiers, Afghan people have been called over as witnesses to testify against RS, but he can't have whoever his five, I assume, character witnesses, and maybe witnesses that have been out on operations and on jobs with him. He couldn't have them testify. Obviously going to be speaking and answering questions about RS. Just seems very strange to me anyway, and unfair, if I'm being honest. All right, sorry. That was Ben's question about what's the note? Bloody trial. Hey, Dan, I stand by Ben Robert Smith. Yeah, awesome. Cheers, brother. Kia ora, that's me, bro. LOL. Sorry to read your last post. If anyone questions your integrity, they haven't been paying attention. Thanks for that, bro. Appreciate it. Stephen, the way they're going after military personnel, it's going to make people question if they want to join. Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. And that in and of itself is pretty sad as well. I know I've touched on that, and you've seen and heard before all of this has happened when RS was talking, before he'd been arrested a few years ago now, that I saw it anyway, on a television interview. I think he said words to the effect of, he doesn't and wouldn't encourage anybody to join the ADF. Those are his words from, a highly decorated, highly courageous individual, extremely excellent operator, in my opinion anyway. So yeah, it's surely going to have some sort of knock-on effect. I think I've had some I've had some kind followers, is what I would say, sent through some comments in terms of the struggles in the UK with regards to recruitment and that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised, but it is saddening to know that, they're not doing themselves any favors with regards to that. And saying that, is likely probably always going to be people that will want to join the military, and that's cool as well. But yeah, when things like this happen, with JCAL, UKSF being painted with a similar brush, Australian SASR being painted with a similar brush with regards to the actions of individuals, but overall it impacting the unit and the ADF as a whole. It's not great. But anyway, where are we? Did you have time to look at Heston podcast? Not yet. Not yet. I haven't watched it yet. Not in full. If you're talking about the mic drop one, Hazy, not yet. Yeah. When NZDF forces were ambushed in 2013 in Afghanistan, our soldiers had to lie over the wounded to protect them from being shot. Our media didn't care about it. Yeah. Hey, Steve, man, first, massive respect. Second, there are so many, like that footage of RS carrying the officer who didn't use his old dullingness when he was told to stay behind that area of cover and then ended up, I think, getting shot in the leg or whatever. From what I've read anyway, I don't know the story. And I have read the comments. They're like, "Where's this guy? Like, why isn't he out here talking about Lincoln RS carried?" Maybe he was one of the 5. Maybe he was one of those 3 to 5 witnesses that were denied the opportunity to give testimony. So when I saw that photo, when I was reading the description, I thought, man, I was like, that's a cool photo for one. 2, I thought, oh yeah, okay, I see where they're coming from. But then 3, instantly my mind was cast back to the comments that I'd heard and messages that I received that RS couldn't have a number of witnesses testify. So maybe that person who was being carried by him, maybe they did put up their hand, but maybe they weren't allowed to for whatever reason. Who knows? But yeah, there are many. Where was I going with that? I was going to the place of there are so many good things that soldiers have done on operations, not just SF, like just soldiers in general, that when there's been media in country on an embed, so embedded with a team or with a unit or whatever, for whatever reason, they seem to choose to not put that stuff out. Like, it's just nuts to me. And on top of that, RS, same with Dono, like 2 VC winners, 2 awesome individuals over there in Australia. Get awarded the VC. Everybody wants to be their friend, eh? Everybody wants to be getting photos with them, members of government or parliament, everybody. They want to be seen with these people. Then soon as something like this comes out, they're nowhere to be seen. So, that when people ask me, am I still going to stand by RS if he's found guilty? 100%, I'm still going to stand by RS. Just, I would never condone that sort of action and those things that he has been accused of doing, allegedly. So, yeah, just mind-boggling to me. When the sun is shining, everybody comes out to play. When those clouds start settling in and things start getting a bit dark, people are running for cover and all of a sudden have got nothing to say, can't string a sentence together in regards to how they feel about the situation for fear of how it might make them look and or what the repercussions might be. As that in and of itself is disgraceful to me. Anyway, sup Joe, we need you on Sean Ryan potty. That's a good one, mate. Yeah, he has actual like clever guests on there and people that have been involved in a heck of a lot of stuff, and that's cool. That's what I like about it. The Sean Ryan podcast. Yeah, thank you though, Stephen. Yes, you're right about the AI, Joe. It's scary. Yeah, massively scary, man. It's it's awesomely cool to see the potential of it and what it can do, even just now. But it's scary to think where that can go, and probably where it already is at the moment. Our greatest threat to our lifestyle is those decisions made in our parliaments, federal and state. Yeah, I agree with that, man. That's a cool comment. Thanks for sharing that. Sorry for that, Joe. What I was trying to get at is the possibility of rather than your SAS, I heard they were the best. How can I help you? As opposed to stay away from those SAS guys. I hear it hasn't finished. And how can a civilian jury put themselves in the shoes of an SF operator on deployment? Seems unfair from the get-go. Yeah, it'd be interesting, eh? I have no idea how that works. I hear they murder civvies I'll shut up now. Oh, sorry, bro. um, yeah. Oh, sorry if I misinterpreted something. I probably did, but I know this, Rubber Kiwi. I didn't take any offense to anything that you were saying. I just thought you and Steve were having a conversation about points of view and stuff. So that's all good. Doesn't bother me. But if I misinterpreted something that you were saying and it was directed to me and I got it wrong when I replied, yeah, sorry, bro. Where are we? Zach, as former SSR, Nico Seedsman has said about RS. He said RS was the sole reason why many SAS soldiers returned home to their families after the continuous Afghan deployment. 100%. That is quite the statement, eh, bro? Massive statement. Have you ever served alongside Nico? Nah. No, I was just going to say I don't know. I know a Nico who was my patrol commander, but completely different surname. And yeah, no, I don't know Mr. Seedsman, but I would love to meet him and shake his hand. That's a powerful comment, regardless of where you sit or which side, whether you're for or against RS. Massive. Sole reason why many SAS soldiers returned home to their families after the continuous Afghan deployment. And you only need to watch his interview with I forget the name of the host, not long after he'd been awarded the VC, to hear the story of what they were confronted with right from the jump, before the planes even landed, before there were even boots on the ground, how hectic, chaotic, dynamic everything was. And people taking rounds, aircraft taking rounds before they land, soldiers taking rounds literally, I think from memory, when they just got on the ground, and then straight away you're down one or two people right from the jump. They only went in with about 20 operators. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a massive force in perspective of what people typically associate with SF. I think it was about 20 from what I remember. But when you're confronted with more than 100 enemy combatants on that battlefield that you weren't even 100% fully sure, and I think the end result, they ended up being 60 to 90 odd KIA, enemy KIA, or IKEA for short. That sort of puts into perspective how hard up against the wall their backs were, or how buried in the dirt their faces were when rounds were coming in to take them out. And I recall words to the effect of RS speaking. He's seen his mates getting ripped up around him, and he is like, I'm not, or words to the effect of that, I'm not just going to stay here, lie here and watch my mates die. And he just got up and charged forward and took out 2 or 3 bunkers, stronghold positions that the enemy has enclosed themselves in, given themselves arcs of fire, made it extremely difficult for anybody looking to try to assault that area to get any accurate rounds in there, unless you've got sniper fire coming in. But they've got this massive kill zone to be able to wipe out as many people as they can. And he assaulted directly towards that. So Nico Seedsman's comments about RS and his actions, no doubt, saved many lives. Now, on the back end of that, in the photo that I shared, the patrol commander who was there on that same battle at Tizak with RS and the guys, he's on my right shoulder. So I was blessed. I was squeezed right in the middle of RS on my left and the patrol commander for their team on my right. And the patrol commander is no joke either. Ex-SBS, came over to Oz. People have asked me questions before. Like, from my understanding, he didn't have to do SASR selection. That's fine. Whatever the arrangement agreements were, that's what they are. And come over. I think he did some courses and stuff, and some I don't want to say adjusting, but fitting in to the squadron, to the unit overall, and worth his weight in gold, eh? Like, we weren't in the same squadron, so I don't know what his path was like and how it was. But I did have interactions with him, whether it was training at the gym, whether it was getting cheeky to each other just in passing or whatever. But what a privilege and an uplifting experience it was for me to be flanked by those studs. And where was I going with that? The PC, you know, earned some hearty awards as well. If I'm right, I think it was the award, the second highest award. So not the VC, the one just below it for Australia. I'm not sure if that's the Gallantry Cross or Gallantry Star. I don't know what they call it. But because of that, from my understanding, he didn't have to have his details and everything released. So I remember that night, as well as the nickname at that time for RS, which the patrol commander had no hesitation in letting me know and others know. They would hassle RS and call him National Treasure. The National Treasure. Oh, the National Treasure's here, and give him an applause or stand up and clap some lighthearted humor, just to make RS feel uncomfortable or whatever. But RS was like, he'd just laugh it off, and he's, oh, you guys are just wankers, or he'd drop a couple of swear words, I suppose, to them and tell them to shut up. And yeah, but that didn't stop the PC from doing little things like that, and no doubt other guys as well. But yeah, that just brought back a lot of good memories just then. So I went off topic, and I have no idea what I was responding to just then. What was I responding to? Nico Seedsman? No, I didn't know him. Yeah, I think that was the last one. Sorry. Sorry, bro, for going off topic there. How clever a man is depends entirely on where in the world he is standing. Brain surgeons can't do what you did. Thanks, bro. There may be some brain surgeons that can. I'll tell you what, Bill Bester, because he may not have been a brain surgeon before he did the selection here in NZ, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's a brain surgeon now. He's an anesthesiologist, an anesthetist, an anesthetist, an anesthetist, anesthesiologist. That's a high-level job, up there with Blinken. I would put that up there with brain surgery. But yeah, anyway, that's a completely different topic. I take and I will accept the compliment. Thank you. Yeah, why are you laughing for? You being Amin as guest on his show. You be Amin as guest. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Kind words. Yep. The media got a lot of traction with the blooding in culture that was reported on ages ago. I suspect they are trying to keep the momentum with RS as a scapegoat. Just one theory. Thanks for that, bro. Yeah, possibly. Sad that's the case. It was on the Zero Limits podcast, I believe, that Nico Seedsman made that statement about RS a while back. Oh, wow, cool. Yep, awesome. I ain't coming to you for surgery, cuz. Hey, actually, wasn't surgery, but a few funny stories. Like, it's in our household, I'm Dr. Dad, because our kids, believe it or not, when they were younger, oh man, bloody gumboots. No, not true. Not all of them were gumboot bloody activities being unco. Some of them were just legitimate, some stupid stuff, and some were just flat out accidents. But man, when our kids have injured themselves, their first stop has always been Dr. Dad, and I do the assessments and then try to dust off the grey matter from my patrol medic days within the unit and that training, and a lot of it has still been great and still use it today and used it over those years when the kids were younger. And yeah, managed to solve a lot of things. Let's just say that, managed to solve and help a lot of things heal for the kids, which has been good. But you would be 100% correct in not wanting to come to me for surgery. I can do some suturing. I can still do some suturing. I've still got some of the kit in that as well. Haven't had to use that for a very long time, thank goodness. So maybe a bit rusty. So yeah, some of the suturing might not look very pretty, but it should hold. And the clearing out and making sure that there's hopefully not going to be any debris or any stuff in there that's going to cause infection. Hopefully I'll debride that and get all of that stuff out. Preferably after I've used some lignocaine to numb the area for you if you happen to be stuck with me. Our kids are probably very happy that they haven't injured themselves in a while and haven't needed to come to me to scrape and clean and then close up any wounds. Bro, I listened to Bill Bestick's potty you did with him 3 times. Top 3 best, in my opinion, of all potties. Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, Bill's an incredible one of these days. Yep. Anyway, holy hecka. Yep, like an hour and a half. I don't know if there's any more questions. I don't know if I got all the questions or the comments that were coming through. Apologies if I didn't. But hopefully I did. And yeah, that's my take in response to the more positive message that came through today, as opposed to just probably the what do I call them? More disappointing ones, I suppose I'd call them, for me, not necessarily to them. And then they comment in and around my position on RS. So yeah, that's where it is. It's on video. It's on here on YouTube. It's on a post. People can do whatever they want with it. And we'll just keep it the same. It'll be a black little screen as the thumbnail once I upload that. Oh, actually, I'll probably just leave it as this. And yeah, that'll be on the channel. And then I'll probably I'll still get spammed with more questions because people haven't seen the other 3, now 4 lives videos that I've done. But hope you all have a beautiful weekend, wherever you are. Hope you and your families are well. Hope you're in a good space physically, mentally, emotionally. Hopefully you're not getting dragged down too much by stuff that's out there in the news, stuff that, you and we have no control over. And just stay the course in terms of whatever fills your cup, whatever makes you happy, whatever helps you keep a clear headspace, whatever helps you process and progress in terms of the things that you're doing. So if that's training, if that's catching up with mates, if that's talking with somebody, if that's starting out on social media, if that's sending me messages and then just having interactions back and forth, which I'm blessed and fortunate to have with a number of people through my little space. Do that. Whether it's remembering your spouse's birthday or your children's birthdays and taking them out somewhere special, or just taking them out somewhere special, even though it may not be a specific occasion, other than just wanting to express your gratitude and love for those that you care about, then do that. Know that it's more than okay to not be okay. It's all right if you're struggling. It's all right if things are hard right now. It's all right if you're unemployed and you're not making any money at the moment. It's all right if your health isn't the best, but you're able to do what you can do. It's all right if you've fallen off the wagon, if you've been a non-drinker, if you've been a non-smoker or non-vapor and you slipped up and you bloody, delved back into that space and now you're feeling regret and feeling like a failure. That's all right. That's normal. It's all right if you're blinking, stumbling along the way on this path, right? Wherever you are and whatever it is that you're trying to get towards. It's all right if you didn't go to the gym and train, even though I would be very disappointed if you didn't. But that's all right if you didn't. Like, just pick your lip back up and go again. Find another time. The day's not over. You can still get out and do something. I'm going to get out and do something after this. It's going to be something nice and simple and some mobility, but hopefully I'll get a bit of a sweat up anyway. It's all right if you fail to do certain things along your path or along your day that you had planned on doing. Just don't let it drag you down. Keep your head up, keep moving, take one day at a time, put one foot in front of the other. Know and trust that things can do and will get better. Stay in the fight and don't quit. Just stay in the fight and keep chipping away. The sun will shine again. There are better days ahead, and those better days are always, my experience, they're always closer than you and I think, and they will come and land when you least expect it. My experience, they've never come when I've wanted them to come. They always come, though, when I need them to come. So, yeah, just stick at it, man. Just stay in the fight. Do what you need to do. And on that note, as always, go always a little further. Remember who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there is a big mana wave coming from me to each of you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation, and gratitude for you all. And I won't say I won't do a live tomorrow because there may be something else that comes up and I might end up doing a live. I said I wasn't going to do a live yesterday. Anyway, take care, everybody. All the best. Have a great weekend. Nice. I see that. Same to you, Dan. Thanks for that. Best advice for guys about to start the Australian SF selection starting after Anzac Day? Question mark. Might have to do that another time. I've just signed off. Same to best advice for guys to start. Don't quit. Don't quit. Make sure it's what you want to do. Make the directing staff either remove you from the course or you just break something or pass out, or dare I say, collapse and you're unconscious and they have to remove you for a medical reason. But don't quit. That would be the best advice. Make the regiment, those members in the regiment, fail you. Put the ball in their court. They have to make the decision. As soon as you make the decision and quit, you've taken it out of their hands. That's what I would say. Yeah, appreciate you all. Take care. Stop.